I also have my own judgment and thinking about Chinese painting. In Liang Dynasty of the Northern and Southern Dynasties, Liu Shai authored the book of using the literary mind to carve dragons. This literary mind is the core of inner beauty. In the historical process of painting, literary mind to carve dragons is an aesthetic concept based on the theory of the origin of mind. If Chinese painters do not state the facts they are facing from the level of literary mind, they would not break through the limitations of vision, which is a kind of constraint of what their eyes see, the constraint of vision. In fact, visual constraints have limitations, which means that what you see has limitations. So, if you see a specific matter by raising to a spiritual level of xiang of mind, then you will see the matter very clearly. If do not express the face-to-face facts from the level as of literary minds to carve dragons, Chinese painters will hardly break through the limitations of visual form. Chinese painting from the Northern and Southern dynasties has proceeded to the spiritual highland of literary mind. Therefore, in the historical process of Chinese painting, the era of the Southern and Northern dynasties was a leap forward. She laid the foundation for the origin of mind theory of paintings in the Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties. Although there are different statements in different eras, such as, art creation is derived outward from learning from the nature and inward from the artist feeling in his or her mind. To look beyond the appearance of things and to realize their inner essences. Shi Tao, searching for all the peculiar mountain peaks to make drafts. The modern artist Huang Bin Hung, with a clear, peaceful mind to observe the essence of nature, and so on, are all based on the theory of the origin of mind as their core spirits. From the end of the Qing dynasty to the beginning of the Republic of China, and even throughout the 20th century, Chinese was still in the stage of absorbing Western visual art. Therefore, there has been many controversies over traditional Chinese painting. That is, the 20th century happened to be the era when I was a teenager, and it was a time when there were many controversies about Chinese painting. Moreover, some even thought that Chinese painting had approached to an end and needed to reform. There were also many different opinions on the application of shapes and colors. For example, when interpreting the colors, if one does not interpret Chinese painting with the thought of xiang, then one may bias on misinterpreting that Chinese painting has no color and is flat. If we do not interpret Chinese paintings with the thought of xiang, the above controversy in the 20th century was very extensive, and it would be common to have a misjudgment of vision. Here I would like to talk about Shanghai Jin, the classic of mountain and sea. Not many people read this book because it contains many things that are not close to what people see in the ordinary world. It originally consisted of 13 chapters, which are the remaining leftover chapters from the Yu era. In the preface to Shanghai Jin, which records that when Lu Xiu from Shihan Dynasty donated this book and wrote a preface. This preface says that Shanghai Jin has hidden among the people for 800 years and is now showing up again. He obtained it and dedicated it to the then emperor. When we read Shanghai Jin, everyone knows that there are many objects which are not what we usually see. For example, 3 heads and 6 arms, people with long arms, etc. Even Sima Qian did not dare to quote them. This relates to the Tang Yao era, which uses a way to describe things as the narrated method in the entire book of Shanghai Jin. It was a way used in the Tang Yao era. Then I thought of another thing. In fact, I have seen the Picasso exhibition in New York before. There was a large painting by Picasso in the United Nations. Picasso is a modern painter. In his paintings, there are often scenes like one with 3 heads and 6 arms, and a person has several faces. Then I thought of a story that Picasso once talked about, art is in the East. At that time, I browsed a record from my university library. That is, when Lin Feng Mian, studying in France, his advisor told him that art is in the East. I cannot remember the original statement clearly, but it means that it is good for you to come to France to learn painting, but you must know that humans' art lies in the East. In other words, my understanding is that the Enlightenment is in China. In fact, there can be a dialogue between Eastern and Western art. It is just a matter of time, and it also requires an opportunity for awareness. The emerging art education in China in the 20th century divided into subject-based education, with the distinction between oil painting and Chinese painting. Generally speaking, this kind of divided education, by so-called academicism, still in use today. This is what we call academicism. When I was studying painting at the Nanjing University of the Arts, oil painting was based on modeling or molding. As for Chinese painting, if roughly from the perspective of Chinese art history, then the silk painting of the Warring States period is the starting point of narrative painting, which also called the starting point of Chinese painting. Therefore, Chinese painting has its own literary context. If we talk about the thought, it can trace back to the time when Chinese characters invented, or even earlier,